also known as Nadia Ayurveda. The name is JS Ayurveda Mahavidyalaya, and the institute is also affiliated by Gujarat Ayurveda University. Today's contents of the talk, one is the allopathic management of wounds, and another is the Ayurvedic management of wounds. Firstly, we will see allopathic management of wound. What the contemporary methods are all ongoing in particularly for the non-healing ulcer management. We will see this. These topics are enlisted, and we will see it one by one. First one is the microbiological control. So the topic arises because the environmental factor, the surrounding skin infections, and the endogenous sources. These are the main sources that lead to the wound contamination. And what we are doing contemporarily is we are using large broad spectrum antibiotics, usually in the allopathic side. And the other alternative systems are also using these protocols in the wound management particularly. But what the thing is, we are lacking in our wound management side of our pathy. So this is for your introduction that particular wounds are having particular microbes, and these are for the introduction. And what we need to do that we will see from the Ayurveda side later on in the slides. The contemporary management is this: the local injectable antibiotics, broad spectrum of the antibiotics. Just because the wounds are usually polymicrobial, then wound control. What we do, we use wound irrigation. Usually we use hydrogen peroxide and usual solution, etc., and other solutions also. The weak solution of povidone iodine. What we Ayurvedic practitioners do mistake as we use it as we receive from the market. Like it is in the 5% of the solution, and we use it barehandedly and very roughly we are using. Mind well, whenever we are going to paint the case before operative, the 5% of the betadine solution or the povidone iodine is useful whenever we are going to intervene for the particularly for the wound management. For that case, weak solution of povidone iodine is to be used. That is that may be 2%, that may be 1%, that may be 0.5% according to the need of the case. When we are using as we receive that is in the 5%, then it induces the hypergranulation, and that again will hamper the wound. So wound healing. So keep in mind, never use the betadine solution as we receive from the market. Always prepare weak solution for the dressing or cleaning purposes. Another, we use different type of dressings and wraps. That is particularly different for the different wound. Like in the venous ulcer, we are using the craft bandages. Diabetic foot ulcers, we are using the offloading support and etc. Sterile bandage is the primary need. Then the pressure etc. are the requirement of the particular wound. Then Vashi solution. Vashi solution is particularly hypochlorous acid, and that is to be used for gram positive and gram negative bacteria, anaerobes and fungi for all the purposes. Another is the debridement we are doing in the clinical practices. That is devastated tissues, removal of the devastated tissues from the ulcer. These are the different methodologies and for the different indications of the non-healing ulcer management. Then biodebridement, the maggots therapy. We are using in Ayurveda the leech application, and that is also work as a biodebridement methods. Then VAC, that is vacuum assisted closure or the negative pressure wound treatment, wound therapy. What happens in that? In that it is a device, and that device consists of four main structures. One is the geniform dressing, another one is the plastic tubing, the third one is the canister, and fourth one is the computerized treatment unit. This is the animated diagram you are eliciting, you can be appreciating. This is the non-healing ulcer. That is the graniform dressing that is applied. There is a sponge-like structure, and along with that, there is a tube-like structure attached. Okay, and it is going into the canister. In canister, it sucks the collected discharges, exudations, and the total work is maintained by this computerized unit. Okay, clinically, it is used by this like this. What happens in the shape of the wound? The sponge material is to be cut, graniform dressing. It is going to be applied. Then, particularly, pressure is maintained by this device, and that sucks the collection, exudation, whatever coming from the tissues and the wound exudations. Ultimately, the principle is to debride the wound. They are also working on our same principle, that is Vrana Shodhan and Vrana Ropan. So this is comes under the Vrana Shodhan principle. Okay. Once the exudations are absorbed and they are collected into the canister, that they drain that canister, and again that can be used. Okay. In market, it is available. There are whole devices available for 50,000 to 80,000 rupees. And if one person is taking treatment in some of the large hospitals or corporate hospitals, they are applying this also. Even allopathic hospitals are also applying this. And on rent, it is given for the charges of 1,000 rupees per day is the rate. And the Zydus Cadila and other hospitals also it is going to be used. Then autogel, that is autologous platelet-rich plasma gel. What happens that in this therapy, the person who is wounded, his own blood is to be taken. Then it is taken into the test tube. Then it is centrifuged. 5 to 30 ml of the patient's blood is taken. After centrifugation, they add some of the reagents like thrombin, calcium chloride, etc. And after that, they prepare the gel-like consistency. And that gel is going to be applied on over the wounds, and that is reported having tissue scavenging activity and healing activity. So this is another trend. This is being used in UK and US in the practices of wound management, and large studies are already conducted on the platelet-rich plasma therapy. These are also used as a autohemotherapy that is also used for the treatment of other diseases like joint pain, degenerative pathies, and the psoriasis management, dermatological cases, etc. Particularly for wound management, it has been reported enhancing the tissue aggregation. Okay, and that's why it is going to be used. Then O2 it is also one kind of the device in which the wounded part of the person is kept into the canister of oxygen supplied Misli machine, and that is exposed with the 100% concentration of the oxygen for the 5 minutes, and then after it is exposed with the vapor of water and antibiotic. By this, they are going to wash the wounds, and this 4 cycles of such way are repeated on the 12 to 20 weeks durations, and then after it is compared with the wounds which are not already gone with this O2 therapy, and it has been reported that it also induces 200% better effect in the wound healing. Another one is the lower level laser therapy. What is that? That is a light amplification, and they apply it for the microcirculation, macrophage leading anti-inflammatory processes, analgesia, tissue regenerative, and bactericidal and bacteriostatic purposes. And it has been also found that it improves the wound healing, particularly in the chronic non-healing ulcers and diabetic foot ulcers. Another one is the growth factor. What are the growth factors? Growth factor are the naturally occurring protein that are already in our bodies and which are useful for the wound healing. Like in the circulating blood and plasma, these factors are there. But particularly in the patient of the wounded patient, if it is impaired, then it can be taken from the another person, and they are going to be applied. Platelet derived growth factor and epidermal growth factor, these two are synthetically improved in the laboratories and then they are applied, and it has been reported that they are having chemotactic, mitogenic, and angiogenetic factors. Okay, so that's why they are useful in the management of the non-healing ulcers. Usually these growth factors are when they are in the wounded patient's own body, they usually helps in the angiogenesis factor, etc. While considering to the wound management, what we understand being the entity of Shalyatantra students, or while we are reading to the allopathy books or everything, like in the basics books of the allopathy and surgery, it has been given that the wound healing has 3 stages: inflammation, proliferation, and scar tissue remodeling. That place we do not get this material. But what happens that while studying to the specialty level and particularly podiatry books, in that we receive that this is the information, and then from the internet and other sources and clinical practices, observation of the clinical practices, then medical management, etc. These all things then lead that what is the role of the platelet derived growth factor, etc. Okay, so that helps. The main part is angiogenesis. Until and unless the angiogenesis develops, the particular granulation tissue cannot be developed. Okay, so angiogenesis is the one of the most important factor that helps in the wound healing. Then ozone therapy, that is also known as bagging. Why it is known as bagging? Because it is provided into the closed bag. what happens that the wounded part, particularly into the food part is kept in the bag. That bag is completely closed, and that bag is connected with a tube device, and that tube device is supplied with the 3000 times more powerful disinfectant that is known as ozone. And through that, it is in the higher concentration and lower concentration, two types of concentration it works. In the higher concentration, it provides 60 to 90 microgram per ml of particularly solution that ozone is considered, and the high flow is given in the initial phase of the wound management, particularly in the infected cases. After the infection is removed, later on it is used with the 30 to 40 microgram per ml concentration, that is lower concentration. So this way it induces the antioxidant power into the wound management, and tissues respond very well in compared to the lower perfusion tissues. So lower perfusion tissues do not develop a granulation tissue because they are not receiving oxygenated blood. But if the oxygen and if the third atom also of the oxygen, that is ozone is supplied, then it responds very well, particularly for the tissue granulation and the wound healing. Then hyperbaric oxygen therapy, that is also one kind of oxygen therapy, in which what happens that this is also used in another therapies also, not only in the wound management, that is used in the another therapies also, like infarction pathologies or vasculopathies or peripheral arterial occlusive disorders, etc. In that conditions also it is used. What happens that in this particular, you can appreciate the glass chamber. This glass chamber is collected with the oxygen, only and only oxygen, that is 100% oxygen pipe, and in that the patient is advised to sleep, okay, for the 90 to 120 minutes, and all the tissues can absorb the oxygen. Then that increases the tissue oxygen tension. How? By consuming the pure oxygen with the highest concentration, it goes into the lungs and through it throughout the circulation. Once the concentration is increased, then after the pressure of oxygen is increased, and then after the tissue perfusion is increased. Once the tissue perfusion is increased, this leads to the angiogenesis, fibroblast proliferation, collagen deposition, and also enhances bacterial killing, that is bactericidal role. Okay, this way it improves the wound healing. But these therapies are also having their own limitations and own complications, because while the patients are slept into the closed chamber of the glass pipe, there can be differences in the oxygenated patient's blood pressure and the atmospheric pressure. So there are chances of breaking arterioles also, and there are the chances of strokes also. For the hypertensive patients, this therapy is not recommended. Then skin grafts and epigrafts. Everybody are known about this. So in UG also you have heard about this, and in PGs also you have a syllabus topic. In large and superficial wounds, particularly which are well granulated, in those cases only skin grafts are advised. In the cases if there is no any kind of granulation tissue developed, it rejects the graft, whatever it is applied. Either it is applied by the very skillful hands, then also it rejects. But there are two types of grafts. One is the natural skin graft, and one is the bioengineered grafts. What are the bioengineered grafts? Bioengineered grafts are the grafts which are synthesized in some of the material and media, and they are developed after that. And from the foreskins of the newborns, usually they are going to be developed, and then application of those type of graft, particularly into the well granulated wound, that helps into the wound healing. So this is about microbiological, and another one that is devices, mechanical control. Now coming to the metabolic control, usually there are so many comorbidities, but usually the blood sugar level, high blood sugar level is mainly focused, because the patient's medical management of the anemic patient or the other metabolites differentiation are possible and can be received in less time. But particularly blood sugar management, that is a condition which is going to be worsening and worsening even after medical management. So in that condition, what can be done? In that condition, particularly oral hypoglycemic agents, and along with that insulin that can be given. And in that cases, they do both the therapies along in single person. Like there are multiple factors and multiple agents of oral hypoglycemic agent, And also they use twice a day insulin. Not only that, before meal, but they also use Basalogs. The better Basalogs are the long-lasting, effective insulins in which they are acting for the 12 hours, and they are 30 to 70 concentration. They are in the market, so they are prepared to avoid the emergencies and avoid the hypoglycemic action. Then they give some extend release effects. So that's why both type of the medicaments are being used in the market. Then vascular control. Vascular control can be assessed with the arterial brachial index, and another one is the active pulsation. Whatever the wounded part is there in the distalmost area or in the central area, the peripheral arteries and pulsation can be checked by palpation method. And afterwards, if it is having active pulsation or feeble pulsation is assessed, then after the ABI, that is the ankle brachial index, that is particularly for the hypertensive index or the blood pressure index. If the ratio is maintained, then it may lead to the wound healing and the good quality of tissue perfusion. If the ratio is not maintained, then the particularly cases of the peripheral vascular diseases, it will lead to the hampering of the wound management or hampering of the wound healing. Okay. And on the investigation base, the peripheral vascular, that is particularly arterial Doppler studies and angiographies, are being used for the vascular diagnosis. And what is the conclusion? If the arterial occlusion are less than 10 centimeter, then intraarterial thrombolytic agents, end arteriotomy, angioplasties, and conventional ballooning therapies are going to be used. They also use stenting, and angioplasties are also going to be used. If the arterial occlusions are more than 10 centimeter area, then it should be used with the vascular grafts and the bypass surgeries. That is, occluded arteries should be bypassed, and the other anastomotic branches should be recanalizing, particularly to provide the tissue perfusion of the oxygenated blood. Mechanical control with offloading support, and another the offloading devices which are used are crutches, wheelchairs, and Jaipur foot, then MCF footwears, etc. Particularly, these all are used to provide to prevent the patient from the friction, and patients are also asked to not to bear weight, because if the patient is bearing the weight and if the wounded part is into the activity or under the pressure, it will always and always going to the break to the granulation tissue. So the patients are also advised to avoid the ambulations also and to avoid the pressure bearing also. Continuing furthermore, there is a plaster of Paris device, that is a total contact cast, and another one is the instant total contact cast. You can appreciate in the image. This is a particular type of footwear that patients have wear, and there are some bands also there that keep the leg in particular position. So if it is very most necessary for the patient to walk or to reach somewhere, then they can use this type of devices. So this is about allopathic management. Now coming to the advances in Ayurvedic food management. But the point is that why we need the discussion. See, these are our brains like this. What we do in Ayurveda practice, we collect some classical references. We collect some trendy medicines that this application is in the market, use this and this will give the results. And what we do, some of the local applications, like this Grita is not giving result, change it and apply this oil. What happens? The result is zero. There is a negative impact of the Ayurveda side. There is a negative impact of the Ayurveda surgeon that they cannot treat, or whatever it is that patient moves from one to another practitioner. And what ultimately happens? Ultimately, it happens that our progress graph, our treatment protocol graph, going to the negative side. What we should do then? Should we focus on our focus to the applications of upakramas, or we should remain intact to our principles? What should be done? The wound management dependency diagram says that it is maximum, that is 90% it depends on the diagnostic methodologies, and 10% it is dependent on the advances in medicaments. How? The diagnostic methods should include the holistic approach and should not be ekadeshia. What we are doing is we are going to do the local examination of the wound. If there is slough or not, the floor is how which quality of floor is there, what is the margin, whatever documented in the books, we are going to be limited with that words only, but we are not going to read words in between the lines. We are taking history, general examination, and local examination. But classics have documented some different things. They are telling for darshanam, sparshanam, and prashnam. What we understand with darshan, sparshanam, and prashnam is we understand that darshanam is to look, sparshanam that means touch, and prashnam that means interrogate or taking history. So if it is that, that will be limited up to this only, maximum up to this. Okay, but there is some differences. What is the difference? Whatever we are reading, there is a different in the interpretation. What are the different interpretation? Darshanam is not just looking to the wounds or examining particularly, that is all the sensory perceptions. Gandha, Varna, Akriti, Srav, and Vedana. All the Vrana Pancha Lakshana described by Acharya in a Vranasrava Vijnaniyam chapter that can be elicited with the Darshanam. Because Aksha is responsible for Darshanam function and Aksha is denoted for the all the Indriyas. So whenever you are going to examine by Darshanam and whenever you are going to examine it, do not take Darshanam as only and also interment with hello. Yeah. So with the darshanam, we should see all these five sensory perceptions. I think somebody's mic is on. Please mute your mic.
Yes, madam, we are trying. Just give us 1 minute.
So with this darshanam, it is not
Yes,
just
madam, continue.
Yes, it is a tactile perception in which we are taking tapa, tala, and a kathina. That is temperature, surface, and duration. All three are going to be examined by sparshanam. Also, we see that the also sensory perceptions with touch, pain, and temperature. All three can be elicited with the sparshanam examination. Okay, so whatever the classics has given that Ushna Shita Lakshanakara and Mrudu Kathina, this should be taken in consideration. There are different levels of indurations also, like mild, moderate, and severe. So that can be understand with the different consistencies of the wound and its scenes. Like as an example, if the patient is having perineal abscess, or that consistency of the induration is the mild. If the patient is having some another moderate type of induration, that can be elicited in the cases of lipodermatosclerosis and vasculopathies. And if the consistency of the severe type of induration, that can be elicited into the cases of the necrosis or gangrenous. Okay, so these all the three are the different levels of induration, and that can be elicited with the sparshanam examination only. So we need to consider tapa, tala, and kathina, all three. Also, the superficial and deep palpation should be considered with the sparshanam examination. Then coming to the prashnam, ahara, vihara, karma, and manasa. All four should be considered with the prashnam. What we ask is only ahara and vihara. Karma and manasa, we skip that. So do not do that from next time in your clinical practice. Also observe these factors, and once you observe this, then change your medicament, and another thing, change your protocol according to that. Even counseling, even harshanam has been explained as one of the factors that removing shalya. Okay, so what we should consider is the all the psychological branch and all the manas shalya is also a part of shalya tantra entity. So remove that manas factor also, and that gives tissue regeneration impact on various wound healing purposes. Also, keep in mind that there are many studies reported into the carcinoma management also, which impacts that negative and autoimmune therapies that affects here. Okay, so while taking complete history and complete examination, consider manas also because it is a very important part. After that, we are coming to Trividha Bodhya Sangra. Trividha Bodhya Sangra, that people who are attached with the basic principles and concepts that can understand very well. And if you cannot understand this, please contact to the your one of the colleagues who are attached with the basic principle departments. They are studying this and they are also considering it their another diseases. But in the coastal diseases, they are considering it. Shakha side, they are not considering it. Go through it and understand the principles, because these three words are the only words that from for that different lectures can be considered or can be taken. These are the elaborated more and more material is there. For now, we can summarize that Vrana Vikara Prakriti, Dosha Dosha Agni Samta can be considered into the Vikara Prakriti, particularly for the wound cases. We should analyze these levels. What we are lacking is we are lacking our basic principles. Why? Because if we don't know our dosha, if we don't know our dusha, if we don't know our srotasa examinations into the clinical cases, we cannot directly approach to the patients. Okay, so our success is not limited by our medicaments. Our success is limited by our knowledge and our interpretations. So keep in mind in your mind that also. Then for Vikara Samutthana's one part is Samprapti. Samprapti is not a Samutthana. Samprapti's part is not Samuttanam, but Samprapti itself is the part of Samuttanam. For example, I have taken an example of a Dushtavrana in a condition of Madhumeha. What we understand is Madhumeha Janya Vrana, but Madhumeha Janya Vrana reference is not there in the classics. But how it can be understand that I try to explain. There is a Meda Vardhaka Nidana and Mutravaha Srotas Dushtikar Nidana if the both are consumed by the patient, particularly Abadha Meda. If the Baddha Meda type of the Nidana seven is done, then case lead to the Saulya. If Abadha Medakara Nidan is seven is done, then the case will lead to the Samprapti of the Prameha. And also disturbed Kleda Vahana. Why? Because Mutravaha Srotas Dushti is explained by Vagbata with Kleda Vahana disturbance, because Vagbata has said that the Kleda Vahana is a function of Mutra. Okay, so whenever there is a Mutra and Prameha is a disease of clinical entity of particularly Mutravaha Srotasa disturbance. So whenever there is a Prameha, keep in the mind there is a disturbance into the Kleda Vahana. Okay, this is the stage one, Prameha Samprapti in brief. Then what happens? Prameha extends or Vatadikya Nidan Sevan is done. Then it leads to the collection of the Kapha, Abadha Meda and Kleda, which leads to the Apyan Sanchaya in a Shakha, Mamsu Shonit Pradhanya Shofa, and then Prameha Pidika. Why Prameha Pidika? Because Prameha Pidika is a representation of the Shofa in the Pramehi, and again, Shof itself represented by the Pidika. There are two basic pathologies, that is Shofa and Avrana in the Ayurveda Shalya Tantra. Then in the show, there are three main factors has been principally described by Sushruta, that is Vata Pitta Kapha. Vata is responsible for Ruja, Pitta is responsible for Paka, and Kapha is responsible for the Puya Nirman. That's why excess Kapha collection is responsible if there is a Puya Nirman is there. And Puya again has been documented by Sushruta as a Dharana Dravya. So Puya has this potency that leads to the Tvagdharana and that produces Vrana. Okay, so this kind of I have taken just an example for the understanding of Madhumeha Janya Vrana. You can understand various different type of Vrana likewise, like peripheral arterial occlusive disorder Vrana, the Pitta Shwanita Vata Janya Vrana can be correlated with that. Then Sira Dushti Janya Vrana, which we are considering as a venous ulcer, that can also be considered and understood by the Samuthan, Vikar Samuthan method understanding. Then Vikar Adhisthana. Acharya has explained Ashtavidha Vrana Vrastu in detail. This is also mentioned as Ashtak Parigraha. What we understand is Tvagarapta Mansasira Snayu Asimarma Koshta. These are the different location of wound bed only, but it is not like only wound beds. These are the levels, and that's why the arrow I have given, that is Tvagarapta Mansasira. Up to this level, the wounds will be Sadhya condition. Snayu will be the differentiating layer. If the Snayu is involved, then that can lead to the non-healing ulcer, that can lead to the improvement of the ulcer depending upon the principles of the treatment physician or surgeon is going to be established. Asti Marma and Koshta, There are Asti is the Yapya condition, Marma Koshta, it is completely Pratyakheya Chikitsit Adhisthana. Then Kriyakala. Most importantly, this is in the reference into the 21st chapter, that is Vrana Prashna Adhyaya. Important, why? Because they have considered it into the Vrana pathology and Sopha pathology. But from Sopha, how the Vrana arises, that has been documented by Sushruta. And particularly importantly, location wise diseases and the collection of dosha, etc. All example are given. Particularly Sopha Arbud Granthi up to this level, all the closed scene pathologies are given, and into the Bheda level they have given that avadhirananam vrana bhavam appannanam srashta kriyakal. So that exclusively is for vrana that Sushruta has explained. No doubt there are other pathologies also into the classics which can be correlated with the kriyakala, but while considering vrana and vrana pathology, one must consider this sixth stage and one must identify that in which condition patient has arrived to us, and we should consider which protocol for the treatment should be analyzed on the day one. What happens that on the day one, whatever diagnosis we are making, that then after we are going to change medicaments only and we are not focusing to our diagnostic terms. And what happens that we are going to do the negative impact of the result. Okay, so whenever you are going to finalize your diagnosis, particularly in the cases of Vrana, Dushta Vrana, go with this 6 steps and identify in which condition the patient is there. When the Vrana is already there, the patient is already there in the sixth stage. But before that also there are so many of the stages, and in the so many of the clinical conditions you can identify, particularly like in the peripheral arterial occlusive disease, patients are coming with the SOFA. And some patients are there who are not having SOFA but they are having peripheral occlusive arterial disease. So identify in which condition the patient are there, and then apply that particular principle which are useful for that. Don't just go with the blind application of the local medicaments. Vrana classification, you have seen it this previous lectures. Why I have put this Su Upachara and Dur Upachara Vrana? Because Sushruta has recommended that, and Sushruta has clearly described that Tesham tu Swayam Udirya Mananam Dur Upacharana Vrana. That means all the endogenous ulcer, rather it is due to the Sira, rather it is due to Dhamani, rather it is due to Tvaka, or it is in the any of the stages, but they are going to be Dura Upachara Vrana. So consider them at the first visit of the patient, consider them as a Kricha Sadhya, and then go with your treatment protocol, because prognosis is quite necessary. Coming to the prognosis, which can show you the scopes and limitations. What we should identify, the level of the wounds to be treated and our capacity. One must not be hesitate to accept their own limitation. Shakya Priti Upekshanam. That should be kept in the mind. If you are able to treat the case, then only treat. If you are not able, you are receiving that there is necrosis and you have no idea of how to deal with necrosis, kindly refer the case. Otherwise, it will go with the negative impact of the consultant, negative impact of the pathy, and negative impact of the entire system of the working. So don't do that. If you are able to do, then accept it and do. If you are dealing that, okay, I cannot do this, but some another person is there who can deal with this case, then refer the case to him. That is Shakya Priti, and do apply that. Then comorbidities. This can never be omitted. Whenever the comorbidities with the Shaka, with the Koshta, with the Marma, at any level it is there, can be kept in the mind, should be kept in the mind, and always understand that thing. Neurovascular support, very important. If it is not there, healing is always impaired. And food and regimen, ahara vihara karma, that is also most important part, should be kept in the mind, because all these factors are impacting into degradation of the case and improvement of the case. Okay, so that's why that be kept in the mind. While Sushruta is telling these 4 qualities, if there are 4 qualities, then the wounds can be treated easily. If there are no these qualities, then wounds cannot be treated properly, or that may lead to the Yapya condition or Asadhya condition. So keep in the mind, Sushruta has also given the qualities that which wounds can be treated. Then Vranalepa Bandhavidhi. Why I am describing this? Because before this slide, we have discussed all the principles of the chapter 17, 18, 19, 20 and 21. and 22 and 23 also particularly, and this is particularly for the 18th chapter because this principle were not up to this limit came into the our discussion. That's why what should be done in the method of the dressing, freshly prepared quartz should be used. Keep in the mind, do not use prepared quartz. If you have prepared quartz and you are using for entirely throughout the day, that will decrease your efficiency of wound healing. So whenever you are going to intervene with the case of wound management, dealing with that, keep an induction in your room, dressing room, and do prepare at that time only. Okay, it may not take more time because local application quartz do not require to be one-fourth or one-eighth or one-sixteenth part of the rest in the wound management for the wound cleaning purposes, because the concentration you require can be differ patient to patient, and that is the part that should be diagnosed and assessed by the consulting surgeon himself. Then necessary mechanical debridement to be done. Then wound dressing with the adequate quantity of medicated oil. What happens? We are applying lot of oil more than the uh, requirement of the tissue. So what happens that hypergranulation arises, and then after what we are doing, we are applying so and so avachurana methods or anything else. So what happens that will extend the wound healing period. Okay, so that also gives negative impact in particularly in private practice. So do not do that. Use only and only adequate quantity of medical oil. Then sterile wound packing is must needed. Don't use that whatever the bandage patient has already bring with him. Okay. Then wound of distal lower limbs should be kept with the offloading support, particularly in required wounds only, not in all. Okay. So this is to be kept in the mind. Spatial care. This is very important. Diva Swapna Dhurane Kandu Gatrana Gauron. This is kept in the slide because we have analyzed and we have seen the complications of particularly Diva Swapna, as I have done my PG and PhD from the Jamnagar, that is the raw area, and that area people particularly have the habits of daytime sleeping. So we have done a study that application of the principle that Diva Swapna, once patients were advised, all the IPD patients of wound ward were advised to not to sleep, and another patients who were sleeping in the daytime, and we compared, and we also analyzed the Kandu, Gaurav, then burning sensation, and then the inflammation. They were all there in the patients who were consuming Divaswapna, and these were clinically observed. That's why we came to conclusion that whatever Acharya has said is totally applicable in this particularly area of the patient. Another thing, what the Divaswapna impact gives, why this all arises? This all arises because once a patient is having Divaswapna, that impairs his or her complete biological clock, and that's why it disturbs the functions of tissues. So that's why Divaswapna should be avoided. Also avoid Utthana, Samveshana, Parivartana and Chankraman. This is said to avoid because Acharya was also very much sensitive and sensible about the granulation tissue. If the patient is performing continuous parivartana and continuous dysfunction, then granulation tissues are going to be back and break, and the healing is not going to be established. Ucche Bhashana and Asatmya Cheshta. This is said to avoid because the maximum of the energy is used in phonation. That is very well known. Okay, and Asatmya Cheshta, which is not particularly performed by patient, is not able to perform that, then out of the capacity of the function should not be done. That is particularly to save the energy, because the wounded patient are having dosha in koshta also and shakha also. So all the throughout the bala is reduced in the condition. That's why do not misuse the whatever the already patient are having the bala level. So do not reduce that level. That's why it is said. Then again, it is said that Sthanasana Chankramana, etc. That is particularly for the Bala purpose. If the patient Shakti Manapi Manava, they have emphasizes on that. Why? Because though patient is having energy to perform another work of the daily routine, but it can impact to the wound healing. So if the patient is coming to you just for the dressing purposes, and if the consultants are having in the mind that wound management is just the dressing, delete that concept because this is the concept of a balakshaya. Okay. Then utthana, utthana, sthana, asana, shayya, cha ati nishevita. What all this lead? This all lead to the Maruta Prakopa, and that will ultimately lead to the Ruja. That's why it is said that avoid this. For the pain removing purposes, they have said this because it all the functions are increasing the tissue tension. And once the tissue tension is increased, that will lead to the inflammatory changes, and inflammatory changes will lead to the pain. Okay, that's why it is said. Then again, Acharya has said that avoid ajirana. Why? Because ajirana lead to the vibhrama of pavan adi, etc. Another factors, and that will lead to the upadrava. And that upadrava are to be said to avoid it. If the upadrava are there, then it will again hamper in the healing. That's why these principles are to be kept in the mind while practicing wounds through Ayurveda. Then keep vigilant watch. Why? Divana Nidra Vashago and Nivata Gruha Gotra, these are the prime important factors. And there is a reference in Ayurveda to hospitalize the case whenever you are going to intervene with the wounds. Because in the chapter 19, Prani Tupasan, it is clearly mentioned by Acharya Sushruta, Pratamameva Pranikam Agaram Anichena. Firstly, hospitalize the case, then after start the treatment. Why? Because all the Vaidyas who are dealing with the wound are already mentioned to keep vigilant watch on Divana Nidra Vashago and Nivata Griha Gochara. These are two main principles because already we have talked on the what is the particular factors on Diva Swapna and what are the changes, biological clock changes and tissue rejuvenations, etc. effect are included in that. That's why Diva Swap is non-recommended, and Nivata Gruha Gochar particularly to avoid all the extra physical activities. Whatever required, that activities should also should only and only advisable, and the all the activities which are not necessary, unnecessary going outside or unnecessary other functions, that all can be subsided by Nivata Gruha Gochara. That's why it is said, and another whatever the recommendations are there by Acharya can be seen in the slide. Then we are going to see some of the cases. This was the case we have received in IPGT and RA, that you can also appreciate that there is no nail bed, there is no nail. Case has already progressed to the asti level, and the plantar side, the case was looking like this. This was the case of a 42-year female patient of a known case of diabetic mellitus. Of course, this is a case of diabetic foot ulcer, and in this great toe ulcer, we have received a bone particle we have received from the inside. So that was already broken inside. So osteomyelitis was already there. Established a case of osteomyelitis it was, and it was a Wagner grade 4 classification system in the classification system. And after application of the treatment principles of Sushruta, the case was progressed like this, and in up to the 77 days, the case was completely healed. What we applied? We applied Aptarpana, Lekhana, Kashaya, Varti, Tail, and Ahara. These principles were used for the treatment. Another case, this was the case of peripheral occlusive arterial disease, and whenever the patient consulted to the so-and-so consulting surgeon, they advised for the amputation because patient was having chain smoking, he was having 30 to 45 BD per day, and he developed the non-healing ulcer for the 4 year of history when he come to us. Also, he was having peripheral neuritis because patient was not even letting touch the wound, and whenever we are going to apply the dressing, he was screaming like. What we applied in this case, we applied Aushadha, Ahara, Prakshalana, Kruta, Bandhan, and Pathya. And you can see the case healing. And this case was improved in just the 40 days of the duration. Then case 3, you can appreciate the condition of gangrene. And this is the established case of gangrene. Here you can see the necrosed part, the great toe necrose. This was also a case of diabetic foot, and also the patient was having peripheral occlusive arterial condition, and this was also established gangrene. What we applied and what was the progress of the case? See, we applied some of the debridement procedure, Chedana and Lekhan was applied. Also, we applied a Raptamokshana principle, and you can see the improvement of the case, and the case was completely cured in 60 days of the duration. Ahara, Aushadha, Kashay Prakshalan, and Tel and Pathya and Bandhan were also some of the other another principle we have used. So don't confuse with the words. Ahar is different, Aftarpan is different, and Pathya is different. Pathya differently I have mentioned is here because Pathya is just not Ahar, because there is some of the modification in daily routine, and daily routine के अंदर भी जो हमारा फंक्शंस है, जैसे कि आचार्य ने बताया है निवात गृह गोचर, तो वो उस प्रिंसिपल से बाकी का एक्स्ट्रा फिजिकल एक्टिविटीज जो भी है सब कुछ जो है वो विजिलेंट वॉच के अंदर रहता है और बहुत ही मेंटेन रहता है। उसके साथ साथ मानस एंड कर्म वो दोनों भी जो है पथ्य के अंदर इंक्लूड हो जाते हैं। सो पथ्य वर्ड हैज बीन केप्ट अनदरली फॉर दैट पर्पस ओनली। Another case, this was the case of accident, road traffic accident, and you can appreciate there is a exposed tendon and dysphagia also. And this was a 62-year male patient with post-traumatic wound of diabetic to mellitus. And then the patient was advised for the skin grafting from civil hospital. Then he led to us, and this was a case of Wagner grade 3. This was the Agantuj Vrana with Pitta Kapacha Dushta Vrana of Pramehi. After application of treatment of principle, you can see the improvement. This case was healed in the duration of 90 days. What we applied? Ahara, Aushadhan, Lekhana, Ausadhan, Tel, Bandhan and Patya. Why Ausadhan? Because as I mentioned you, application of over application of drug created with hypergranulation, and to remove this hypergranulation we had to apply Avasadhan Karma. We applied Kshara, and with the Kshara the Avasadhan Karma was established, and then after Tel, Bandhan and Patya were applied. Now coming to the research part, advances in the research part. These are the throughout the pan-India thesis that has been carried out in the Ayurvedic institution, particularly on the diabetic foot ulcers, venous leg ulcers, non-healing ulcers of other origins, post-operative wounds, in vitro studies and conceptual studies. So you can appreciate the data, and data has been extracted from the monograph of the wound research prepared by Dr. T.S. Dudmal sir. These are the published articles on different wounds by Ayurveda researchers. There are 105 and more than that articles now, because this data has been considered, data has been extracted in the November of 2020. So right now up to this limit there may be increase in this data. From there were 5 Scopus articles, 41 PubMed articles, 53 articles were in the Copernicus indexed journals, and others were 6. And in that you can appreciate the data, that is 16 experimental studies and 6 clinical studies were documented in PubMed, which is very less in compared to all around the world whatever they are documenting. And this study has been registered with the Prospero. The Prospero is the one kind of registration that we should do before documenting any kind of the review studies and systemic studies. Why I have given this slide? Because to snatch your concentration towards the less documentation of our data. We have all the potency, we have all the treatment principles to work, but what happens that whatever we have done the work, this all go into the grey literature. How into the grey literature? What is the grey literature? Grey literature is a data which cannot be accessed through internet, because so many of the theses, more than 250 theses pan India has been carried out on the wound management only. But the documentation you can see that maximum 105, that is including all the indexing journals, and in the high impact and PubMed index journal there are only 41 articles. So you can see that whatever we are doing is not accessible on the internet. There is very less than 10% or 20% documentation is there. So if we are not going to report, somebody else will do, and that will do with some of the modern principles. And also what happens that it will lead towards the negative impact of the Ayurveda surgeons and Ayurveda side of practice, and they consider it as there is no any kind of scientific documentation, there is no any kind of the scientific work. Okay, so one must keep in mind, and all of you, all the students and my fellow colleagues, I request you all, please do report your studies, please do report your all the clinical works whatever you are going to intervene. Now coming to advances in methodology in the Ayurveda side, and then we will see what are the advances in the medicaments. See, these are some of the synthesized medicines and synthesized devices which are going to be used in nowadays in the practice, and which will come very shortly into the market. They are Panchavalkal wound patch, Manjishtadigrit Gelonate. Then there are different antimicrobial studies of the in vitro studies of the medicaments of the drug which are going to be used, like ointments are there, and some and whatever I'm telling is not for the pharma medical things. This is all are which are used into the government medical institutes of Ayurveda and private medical institutes of Ayurveda. No, none of this listed is in the market. Another is antioxidant activity studies of the drug and DPPH free radical acids. What are they? We will see that in the later on slides. What is the Panchvalkal wound patch that has been developed by respected Professor Sahu sir, and it is under the study, and it is being practiced into the animal model right now and into the human model that will be listed later on. Manjistadi grit Jalonet, you can see that Jalonet dressing is very well understood by all. That is one kind of synthetic material, Jalonet, and they are charged with the 3% of the bismuth solution, and they are preserved with some of the paper material, and they are packed like that. Whenever they are going to be used, they will provide maximum tissue aggregation and wound scavenging tissues. Okay, so that what happens that will lead to the high granulation rate, and the wound will heal very good and very easily and very fast. So some of the fellow researcher has developed Manjistadi grit Jalonet. They have prepared Manjistadi grit and they have charged the Jalonet with that, and they are going to apply that. Right now the study is going under the animal model, and soon it will come into the market with the human model experiments. Antimicrobial studies, we will see what happens in the antimicrobial studies in later on slides. These are the advances in medicines like Aspergillus gummiferus, Boswellia serrata, etc. And we will see one by one. Aspergillus gummiferus, that is the one plant that extracts gum agents, and it's a one kind of oleoration. So it induces acceleration of skin and wound healing because it induces the cellular differentiation and cellular proliferation. That's why it is used for the local application, and many local medicament can be prepared from this. Then Boswellia serrata is very well understood with the Salai Google, that is Chalaki. And one study has reported that 15% of weight by weight solution that induces the collagen synthesis, fibroblastis, and decreases the surface area of the wound, and also it increases the tensile strength. What is tensile strength? Tensile strength is a nothing but one kind of examination which shows that whatever the medicament is applied is inducing the cellular strength or not. If there is a good tensile strength, that means it is going to remain and the tissue impaction is very good. If there is a less tensile strength, it says that the tissue absorption ratio is less, and whatever the medicament is used is not useful for the skin closure. Okay, so the studies which represents that the medicines are increasing the tensile strength, that means they are helpful in faster wound healing. Okay, so Boswellia serrata has been reported. So later on into the market, some of the drugs will come with the combination of the herbal drugs having antimicrobial effect and with the Boswellia serrata oleoration. So that local application will induce the wound healing ratio. Then Cochleospermum regiosum. This is a plant-based medicine, and that is a katiragam that is obtained from that drug. And usually it is specifically being used in the burn wounds. And one study was reported with the 3-group study. In one, there was a sulfadiazine gel. In one group, there was a ketiragam. And in the third group, it was a mixedly used. With both were used simultaneously in one combination. So the third group, which was a combination drug, that was reported very effective. That is the allowed, and that is a brainful and useful integration. So that should be done. Then Coplifera Langsdorffin. That is a drug, and that also extracts the oleoration, and that is useful for particularly in dipterpenes and sequiterpene that gives, and that also is reported for wound healing purpose. And Shoria robusta, that is very well known for its oleoration, and that is used for preparation of ointment for wound healing and burns, etc. and it is also used in skin diseases. And 70% of the alcohol extract has been reported with the wound contraction activity, and also has been reported with the increasing the values of tensile strength of the tissues. Then Securinical leucovirus, Catupilla is known very well for the diabetic wound healing, and large researches has been carried out. Even Times of India has reported this drug, and allopathic practitioners are also very eager to use this drug. And its broad spectrum antimicrobial studies has been carried out, local application study has been carried out, animal model studies has been carried out, even human model studies has been carried out. So this drug is very largely in demand into the market. Then Echinogenesis aspera. Tissue debridement effect has been already established, and DPPH radical scavenging activities are also established. Even Amazon is knowing about this, and there is a book written by some of the allopathic practitioners, particularly on the potential of the Echinogenesis aspera in diabetic wound healing. We, being Ayurveda practitioner, might not be knowing, but they are knowing. See, the advances are improving day by day, and we must take in consideration. Now, coming to the in vitro antimicrobial study, what is that? In antimicrobial study, one study was carried out into the Jamia Hospital, and in the medical microbiology lab of the Jamia. And Jamia Millia Islamia is a central university of the New Delhi. Like four samples are there, as it is shown into the figure image. And they carried out the study in that they take four type of the fungal strains and six type of the bacterial strains, and they they studied it under the microscope, and they give the fluconazole as a standard fungal control drug, and then they use different concentration of the drug. See, these are the concentration. These are known as minimal inhibitory concentration they use, and against that, at how many zone of inhibitions were received from particular those drugs. See the samples name and the blinding terms, and these are the all the terms. Okay, and these are the results. Okay, so this is sample 1 to 4, particularly for the Candida albicans. Sample 1 to 4, that means all the four oils that were used for the Candida albicans assessment in standard control of the fluconazole, and the different sample represented with the different results. So this is also in the practice. Then DPPH free radical scavenging activity. The same drug Catupilla has been examined, and that has shown antioxidant and total reducing power of ferric reducing, etc. It has been also studied. This is should not be forgotten by the persons who are interested in the practice of wound management. Vrana Ropana monograph has been already published by Dr. T.S. Goodman last year, and this Vrana Ropana monograph consists more than 257 studies carried out throughout the pan India, and that should be seen once a while. Key points to the throughout the class of today. Principle of Vran Chikitsa should not be forgotten. What you should use in your clinical practice, whether the case is applicable for 7 upakrama, 60 upakrama of Sushruta, or 36 upakrama of the Charaka. Shashti upakrama has been mentioned in the slide, and the highlighted upakramas are there, which are essentially and maximally used in the treatments. Pathya and Apathya are enlisted in the slides, which are already mentioned by Sushruta. But what should be kept in the mind that all the Apathya and all the Pathya are not applicable in all the kind of patients. You should be always patient specific in all the cases, and case specific treatment should be applied along with case specific pathyas and apathyas. Okay. Then what you should not do while practicing with the wound? Focusing on the local applications only and expectation of the healing. That is the worst thing that one is assessing. If they are going to do this, if they are not treating the Koshta and Shaka, don't expect any kind of the healing, because with that local application you will receive the tissue closure, with that you will receive the wound contraction, but you will not receive the signs of Ashunam and Arujam. If Ashunam and Arujam is not established, Samyak root Lakshan cannot be received. So always focus on that and not focus only and only local applications. Unnecessary integration of Pathis should not be done. Local injectable of antibiotics and local injections of any other things, and bandaging like Ayurvedic medicament is there and you are applying applying some of the local antibiotics along with that, making paste and that application and expecting the healing. Don't do that. There is pathy and misconceptions are there in the practices, and also that is not an ethical practice of Ayurveda, not an ethical practice of the allopathy. So don't do that. Ajrana of Aushadha and Ajrana of Ahara should be avoided. That is very, very most important. A list of the medicine, 14 medicines, 22 medicines into the IPD patients for the 1 month, 2 months, and there is no any kind of result. Case goes to the worsening condition, and that happens because of Ajrana of Aushadha. Our bodies are used to for Ajrana of Ahara and not for the Ajrana of Aushadha, because that impacts very, very bad. And importantly, apathy. One must be always keep in mind what apathya is for what which particular case. Then what should be done? Understand the need of the case. What are the case needs and apply that principle only. Don't rush for application of all the 60 principle at once. Subjective and objective assessment of the case. Always do this. Acharya has recommended that if the any drug is or any principle is not working, then go into your diagnostic methodology first. If you have made the wrong interpretation of the diagnosis, then nothing will work. If the diagnosis is proper, confirm it, then apply the medicines. Then, if it is not giving the results, then change it after 7 days. Whether it is a systemic medicine or it is a local medicine, give the 7 days time to work. Then, coming to prognosis, one must keep in the mind if it is a treatable case, then only take, otherwise refer. And precise and specific upakrama. Don't rush for 60 upakrama at once. What I want to conclude from this, all the slides, it's Shastram Jyoti Prakashartham, Darshanam Buddhi Atmana, everything is there in Samhita. Do continuously reading, and go with that. Do continuously observing the patients, compare it, see into the classics, read between the lines,